Imagine for a second, right, that you are tasked with writing, shooting, directing, and editing a broadcast-quality documentary.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot.
It's a massive lift. Now imagine doing that every single working day
Oh, wow.
for 2 years straight, all without losing your artistic soul, and while simultaneously building an entire digital ecosystem completely from the ground up.
I mean, that sounds impossible. It
Yeah.
really sounds like a recipe for instant, just spectacular burnout.
Right. But today, we are looking at someone who didn't just do that, they actually built a masterclass out of it. So, welcome to you, the listener, to this custom-tailored deep dive.
Yeah, we've got a really good one today.
Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we are exploring the comprehensive portfolio and the, honestly, incredibly fascinating 20-year career arc of visual storyteller and creative producer Pradeep K.S.
It's a massive portfolio.
It really is. We are looking at a professional workfolio that essentially maps the entire modern history of media, like transitioning from the rigorous ink-stained world of print design through gritty freelance photojournalism into impact documentary filmmaking, and then landing squarely in the high-volume, algorithm-driven world of digital content strategy and even artificial intelligence.
And, that statistic you opened with, the over 400 videos produced in a span of just 22 months for Akshayakalpa Organic, that is the hook that brings us here?
Yeah, that number is staggering.
It is. But what we really want to understand today is the how. Like, how does a creative professional actually survive and thrive through 2 decades of just relentless technological evolution?
Well, I'm looking at this timeline, and honestly, the starting point confuses me a bit.
Oh, the computer science thing.
Yeah, I'm seeing a computer science degree from KLE College back in 2003. How does someone go from, writing strings of code to directing highly emotional documentaries? What is the connective tissue there?
I know, it seems like a massive left turn, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But hold that thought, because it is really the secret engine of this entire portfolio.
Really? How so?
Well, when you study computer science, you aren't just learning a programming language. You are learning systems architecture.
Okay, right.
You are learning how disparate, moving parts connect to form a cohesive, functioning whole. And if you jump forward in the timeline, past a 2005 graphic design certification from Arena Multimedia, all the way to his very recent certification in AI filmmaking, it creates this perfect, full-circle narrative.
Huh. A foundation in computational logic, layered with formal design, culminating in the mastery of generative algorithms.
Fancy.
I mean, it makes sense on paper, but I want to get into the weeds. I want to look at where the actual visual foundation was built. Because before you are producing 400 videos for an organic brand, you have to learn how to frame a single image.
Right, you have to know the basics. Let's wind the clock back to the print era.
Yes, Pradeep was a senior designer at Macmillan and also working on the Getty Yellow Pages. And I have to stop you here because designing a static Yellow Book page in 2006 feels light years away from a kinetic, modern documentary.
Oh, completely.
Like, why does this matter? Isn't a Yellow Pages directory just a massive, boring list of phone numbers?
That is exactly what it looks like to the consumer, yeah.
Yeah.
But to the designer building it, it is a brutal, unforgiving exercise in pure typographic discipline.
Brutal, really.
Oh, absolutely. Think about the era. This was the time of Quark Express.
Oh, wow, Quark Express.
Yeah, the dominant layout software before Adobe InDesign just completely took over the market. Quark was not user-friendly by modern standards. It was punishingly exact.
So you had to know exactly what you were doing. No drag and drop magic.
Precisely. No safety nets. Now imagine designing a massive directory or a dense corporate catalog. You have a finite amount of physical paper. You have thousands of pieces of data.
Right.
You have to guide the reader's eye from a category header to a subheader to a business name to a phone number, using absolutely nothing but the hierarchy of typography and the psychology of color.
Because it's static.
Right. You can't rely on a flashy animation or a swelling musical score to tell the reader what is important. The page is completely silent.
So the design has to do all the heavy lifting.
It has to scream, but elegantly. You have to understand CMYK color spaces, cyan, magenta, yellow, and key, or black, which is how ink physically mixes on paper.
Which is vastly different from the RGB screens we look at today, right?
Oh, entirely different. An RGB screen emits light. CMYK absorbs it. And on top of that, you are dealing with kerning, which is the microscopic spacing between individual letters. You are maintaining rigid brand systems across hundreds of pages.
Okay, but so how does obsessing over the spacing between the letters A and V in a catalog translate to modern video production? I'm still trying to bridge that gap.
Because video, at its absolute core, is moving composition.
Moving composition.
Yeah. Many self-taught videographers today who just pick up a digital camera and start shooting, they lack this foundational rigor. They might capture a beautiful cinematic shot of a subject, but they don't know how to frame it so that the lower thirds text, the graphic at the bottom of the screen that tells you the person's name and title, will actually read clearly.
Oh, that makes so much sense, because they are just thinking about the image, not the whole package.
Exactly. They are thinking about the shot, but not the system. Pradeep's time at Macmillan and Get It built a systematic brain. He learned that every single pixel, every millimeter of negative space has a defined purpose.
And that systematic brain gets put to the ultimate test in the next phase of the journey. We move from Macmillan to Time Out Bengaluru. And here is where I see this really rare dual threat emerge. His title was Assistant Art Director and Photographer.
A very potent combination, and one you just don't see often. Usually the art director sits in an office looking at a screen, yelling at a photographer who is out in the field.
Right. But Pradeep wasn't just directing the art, he was capturing the art. He was designing the layout for this massive lifestyle and culture magazine, managing the quality control, and then grabbing a camera and doing the editorial shoots himself.
Yeah, the restaurant photography, nightlife documentation, event coverage, portrait photography for interviews, all of it.
This is where the synthesis of his skills really happens, I think. This is the aha moment for anyone trying to understand visual storytelling.
How so?
Well, most photographers look through the lens of a camera to see what is there. A designer looks through the lens to see what is missing.
Oh, that's a great way to put it. Seeing what is missing.
Yeah, it's called shooting for the negative space. Let's create a scenario. Pradeep is out shooting a feature on a new high-end restaurant in Bengaluru. It's a chaotic, dimly lit kitchen.
A nightmare to shoot in, usually.
Exactly. As a pure photographer, you might zoom in tight on the chef's face as a pan flares up with fire. It's dramatic. It's a great photo. But Pradeep is the art director. He knows that this photo is going to be a 2-page spread, and he knows there is a 72-point headline and 2 columns of text that have to sit on top of this image.
I see where you're going with this.
So if he shoots it tight, he's going to have to slap white text right over the chef's face or over the fire, and it will look terrible. It will be completely unreadable.
Exactly. So instead, he frames the chef and the fire on the far right third of the lens, leaving a massive, dark, out-of-focus void on the left side of the frame.
Which, to an amateur, looks like an unbalanced, weirdly empty photograph.
Right, but to an art director, it is a perfect canvas. He isn't just taking a picture. He is constructing the architecture of the final magazine page inside the camera viewfinder. You stop thinking in isolated images and you start thinking in complete narratives. You are shooting for the edit.
And think about the environment. This isn't a controlled studio where you have 3 hours to set up your softboxes and diffusers.
No, not at all.
It's a busy kitchen, or a cramped, sweaty nightclub for the nightlife documentation, or an impatient celebrity giving you exactly 4 minutes for a portrait.
It requires immense technical agility. You have to instinctively understand exposure, ISO, and shutter speed because you just don't have time to calculate it. But more importantly, it forces you to become an editor of reality. You learn what visual elements are essential to the story, that restaurant or that person, and what is just distracting noise.
But, there's a ceiling to how much truth you can tell when you control every pixel, or when you are shooting for a glossy lifestyle magazine where the ultimate goal is to make things look desirable.
Oh, for sure. It's curated reality.
Exactly. So what happens when you step out of the studio, out of the restaurants, and you completely lose that control?
Well, you transition into the world of raw human reality.
Which brings us to a massive shift in tone and objective. From September 2014 to September 2020, we are looking at 6 years operating as an independent photographer and visual storyteller, the photojournalism era.
This is a heavy chapter.
It really is. And the portfolio lists an incredibly impressive and, frankly, heavy array of editorial publications. We are talking about photo essays on social issues for platforms like First Post and The Wire, feature stories for Deccan Herald and Indian Express, even international photojournalism for Portugal's Publico, and fine art photography for Artpill.
That's a serious roster of outlets.
Now, quick note here, platforms like The Wire and First Post are often known for highly charged, deeply investigative political content. They tackle polarizing issues.
Right.
But what is fascinating about this deep dive isn't the politics of those publications. We aren't endorsing any specific viewpoints today. What we are looking at is the visual mechanics Pradeep used to capture those polarizing realities impartially.
Because the craft of doing that is incredibly demanding and completely different from shooting a plate of food.
Right. But I have a genuine question here. We live in an era where literally everyone has a high-resolution, multi-lens camera in their pocket.
Yeah, smartphones changed everything.
Millions of photos are uploaded to the internet every minute. If there is a protest or a social crisis, there are 500 iPhones recording it. So what actually elevates a simple photograph of a street scene to the level of investigative journalism, visual storytelling? Why does a major platform hire a professional instead of just using crowdsourced smartphone pictures?
It is the core question of modern photography, isn't it? And the answer lies in a word that appears explicitly in Pradeep's portfolio: authentic.
Authentic.
Yes, the portfolio mentions capturing authentic voices and personal narratives. What elevates a photograph, what cuts through the noise of a million iPhones, is empathy.
Empathy, like as a technical tool.
Absolutely, as a technical tool. Think about it. Anyone can point a camera and document that an event happened. A photojournalist points a camera and documents how it felt that the event happened.
Oh, that's a big distinction.
It is the ability to walk into a volatile, unpredictable, or deeply vulnerable situation, maybe a community facing a severe economic crisis, and not just extract an image from them, but to actually collaborate with them visually.
You have to get them to lower their guard. You can't just shove a lens in their face and expect truth.
You have to earn the right to take the photo. During these 6 years, Pradeep really honed an ability to look at a massive, abstract, complex social issue, say urban poverty or agricultural struggles, and distill it down into a single, compelling human face.
Right.
In lifestyle photography, you make things look pretty.
Right.
In investigative photojournalism, you have to make things look truthful, even and especially when that truth is uncomfortable.
And you can't fake that. You can't fix a lack of human connection with a Photoshop filter.
You absolutely cannot. This 6-year period is the crucible. This deeply ingrained ability to connect with people, to capture their authentic lived experiences without exploiting them, it becomes the absolute bedrock of his future work.
Because it grounds everything else.
Exactly. Without these 6 years of raw, on-the-ground reality, the high-end impact films he makes later in his career would just feel like sterile corporate PR. Because of this era, his films actually have a soul.
Which is a brilliant segue into the next evolution of his career. Because a still image captures a powerful moment, but motion video captures a movement.
Right, it adds a whole new dimension.
It introduces a timeline. It introduces voice and action. Let's look at how Pradeep translates those authentic stories into meaningful change through impact documentary filmmaking.
Moving from the single frame to the sequence.
Let's start with a brief but incredibly intense period. From September to December 2021, Pradeep took on the role of video director for the Deccan Herald.
Only 4 months, but a major pivot.
Yeah, it was a 4-month project, but the scope was massive. He directed a documentary-style video series profiling inspiring individuals from across Karnataka, focusing on social change, environmental conservation, and community development.
What stands out to me here is the collision of disciplines. You have the journalistic rigor of his freelance years finding these authentic, human interest stories, but now it is paired with the intense demand for fast turnaround, broadcast-quality video production inside a newsroom.
It's one thing to spend 3 weeks writing a thoughtful feature article. It's another thing entirely to have to conceptualize, light, shoot, capture clean audio, edit, color grade, and deliver a broadcast-ready documentary short in a matter of days.
It requires an ironclad workflow. You cannot survive a fast turnaround news environment if you don't know exactly what shots you need before you even arrive on location.
You have to have the blueprint already in your head.
And this loops right back to his art director days shooting for the edit. When you are the video director in a news context, you don't have the luxury of overshooting. You can't film 4 hours of footage and say, I'll find the story in the editing bay.
Right. There's no time for that.
You have to see the narrative matrix in real time. You shoot the wide establishing shot, you shoot the tight emotional close-up, you grab the B-roll and you move.
You are building the sequence in your head while you are holding the camera. Now let's look at how that matrix is applied to a totally different, arguably much harder challenge. Prior to the Deccan Herald stint from January 2016 to April 2018, Pradeep worked as a consultant video producer for the Gramothan Foundation.
Why?
Here, the mission was creating educational video content for entrepreneurship and skills development programs. The portfolio specifically mentions Global Skills Network impact stories and venture fast-track case studies.
Which is heavy academic stuff.
Yeah, to me this sounds like visual teaching. It's like taking a dense, text-heavy MBA case study on supply chain logistics and trying to turn it into a gripping documentary. How do you do that without boring the viewer to tears?
It is, without a doubt, one of the hardest forms of video production instructional design.
It's a tough nut to crack.
Very tough. The Wadhwani Foundation works on supporting emerging entrepreneurs. They are teaching vocational pathways in FMCG, fast-moving consumer goods, and SME, small and medium enterprise ecosystems. That is inherently complex material.
Right, nobody wants to watch a 30-minute video of a talking head standing in front of a whiteboard explaining inventory management.
Exactly. So how do you make it stick? How do you make an aspiring rural entrepreneur actually care about inventory management?
You apply the photojournalist's empathy.
Yes. You don't just explain the business strategy. You showcase the human being who successfully utilized this strategy to overcome an obstacle. Pradeep was creating documentary-style content for these impact stories.
Right, so you ground the theory in reality.
Imagine the script. Instead of starting with a graphic about supply chains, you start with a close-up of a local baker who used to lose half her stock to spoilage. You hear her voice, you see her bakery, and then, through her story, you introduce the concept of the supply chain solution.
Oh, that's smart.
He was taking the abstract concepts of skills development and grounding them in human stakes. He was building expert-led educational content that felt like a narrative journey.
It's wrapping the medicine in a piece of chocolate. You are learning, but you feel like you're just watching a great story. And this commercial plus impact expertise really defines his long game. Because alongside all of these roles, stretching back over a decade from September 2014 to the present day, Pradeep has been operating as a creative head and filmmaker under the banner of Pete Arts.
This is where we see the deep, sustained commitment to sustainability and social change. The endurance of these specific projects is quite telling.
Let me just list some of these key projects to give you a sense of the breadth. You have the SELCO Foundation. He led a comprehensive video documentation project in Davangere, Karnataka, focusing on a DRE integrated poultry coop, managing the entire production cycle from script to delivery.
Script to delivery, meaning he's doing it all.
Exactly. Then you have Forest Plus, a partnership with USAID, designing multi-platform campaigns on sustainable forestry. Gramothan, focusing on rural development. Fairtrade India, creating visual narratives to connect producers directly with consumers.
A lot of high-stakes, impact-driven work.
And on top of all the video work, he is designing and producing premium coffee table books. The WRI, World Resources Institute Climate Adaptation Book, and autobiographies for figures like politician Arvind Deshpande by Ramji and Ali Asghar.
There is so much to unpack there. Let's take the SELCO Foundation project as an example to understand the how. A DRE integrated poultry coop.
Okay, let's ELA 5, explain it like I'm 5. What is a DRE integrated poultry coop, and why is it so hard to film?
So DRE stands for Distributed Renewable Energy. In simple terms, we are talking about off-grid solar panels powering a chicken farm in a rural area that doesn't have reliable electricity.
Okay, so on the surface, not inherently cinematic material, it's a solar panel and some chickens?
Right. But why does the solar panel matter? The story isn't the photovoltaic cell and the solar panel. The story is the farmer who finally has peace of mind.
Because they aren't worried about the grid failing.
Exactly. When Pradeep goes to Davangere to document this from script to delivery, he knows how to find that angle. It's the sustainable energy integration told through the farmer testimonials. You show the panel, yes, but the climax of the video is the farmer's face.
And notice the through line here. Whether he is out in a rural village filming a poultry farmer for SELCO, or sitting in a design bay doing the layout for a massive premium physical coffee table book on climate adaptation strategies for the World Resources Institute, the objective is identical.
It is transforming complex, data-heavy narratives into compelling human stories. And, I want to pause on the coffee table books for a second.
I was actually going to ask about that. In an era of digital video, why spend time designing physical coffee table books? Isn't that going backwards technologically?
Not at all. It's about understanding the medium and the stakeholder. A 2-minute video on Twitter is great for general awareness.
Sure.
But if you are the World Resources Institute and you are trying to convince high-level policymakers or major donors about climate adaptation, you don't send them a YouTube link.
They probably won't even click it.
Exactly. You hand them a beautifully bound, impeccably designed physical artifact. It has permanence, carries weight.
It sits on their desk.
Yes, and this is where his Macmillan days come roaring back. He knows how to take complex climate data, charts, and investigative photography and lay it out using rigorous typographic hierarchy so that a politician can flip through it and immediately understand the impact.
Wow, it really does all connect.
The medium changes print layout versus multi-platform video campaign, but the translation of complexity remains constant.
And the scope of responsibility is huge. For Pete Arts, he isn't just a hired camera operator. He is managing the entire production cycle. Script writing, creative direction, layout, execution, final delivery. He is the engine.
He's running the whole show.
Which brings us to the ultimate question. We've seen the meticulous craft of the print years. We've seen the raw empathy of the photojournalism years. We've seen the complex narrative architecture of the impact documentary years. But how do you scale that? How do you take that bespoke, highly crafted emotional storytelling and supercharge it for the hyper-fast, modern digital economy without losing the soul of the story?
Well, you enter the ecosystem of Akshayakalpa Organic.
The heavy priority. This is the core focus of our deep dive today, because this is where all the disparate threads of the previous 15 years weave tightly together into something massive.
The culmination.
Let's set the stage. From September 2022 to June 2024, 1 year and 10 months. Pradeep steps in as the specialist video content producer for Akshayakalpa Organic.
Okay.
And here's the staggering reality of that role. He produced over 400 videos across multiple formats. 400 videos in 22 months.
It's just wild.
That is essentially a finished, polished video every single working day.
It is a volume that usually requires a small agency to execute, not one person leading a new charge.
And he wasn't just handed a script and told to go shoot, he was building the entire digital engine from scratch. The portfolio states he built their YouTube presence from the ground up. He designed the channel structure, executed SEO optimization, and develop the overarching content strategy.
That's a massive operational undertaking.
It is, but I have to push back here. I have to represent the listener who is sitting there thinking, wait a minute, how does an artistic, empathy-driven photojournalist who spent years capturing raw human realities, how does that person adapt to the ruthless, algorithm-driven demands of YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, SEO, and performance marketing?
Right, it feels like a contradiction.
Doesn't the art just get entirely crushed by the data? Does the algorithm kill the artist?
It's a fantastic, vital question. It really is the defining anxiety of almost every creative professional working today. But it represents a fundamental misunderstanding of what SEO and algorithms actually are.
Okay, enlighten me.
SEO and art are not enemies.
They aren't. Because when I'm doom scrolling, it certainly feels like the algorithm rewards trash over art.
It rewards engagement, yes. But think about it this way. I want to give you a metaphor. Think of a brilliant, empathetic documentary film about soil health as a state-of-the-art bullet train.
Okay, bullet train, got it.
It is beautifully crafted, powerful, and carries immense value. But if you don't lay down the steel tracks, which is what SEO, channel architecture, and performance marketing actually are, that train isn't going anywhere. It just sits in the station on a hard drive.
Wow. Okay, that is a really profound way to look at it.
SEO is not a replacement for the art. It is the distribution mechanism for the art. Pradeep understands this perfectly because he is a creative producer, not just a videographer.
Let's break down that distinction. What is the difference between a videographer and a creative producer in this context?
A videographer points a camera, makes a beautiful image, hands over the memory card, and goes home.
They are just executing a task.
Right. A creative producer builds a system that ensures those beautiful images achieve a strategic business goal. Look at what he did at Akshayakalpa. He didn't just shoot. He developed budget frameworks. He created predictable production workflows. He scaled a team from being a solo operator to leading a dedicated team of 6.
Right. He recruited, onboarded, and mentored a cinematographer, a producer, an editor, and a motion designer.
This is the systems architecture from his 2003 computer science degree coming fully to life.
There it is.
He built a machine. And because he had spent 20 years mastering every single role in that machine, he knows how to design typography from Macmillan. He knows how to light a tough environment from Time Out. He knows how to edit a narrative from Wadhwani. He can lead that team with absolute authority and empathy.
Because he's been in their shoes.
Exactly. If an editor says, I need 3 days to color grade this, Pradeep knows from personal experience whether that is true or if it's an exaggeration. He can build realistic workflows.
Let's look at what that machine actually produced, because the multi-format content strategy is wild. It's not just 400 identical corporate promos. The content portfolio includes long-form documentary films, farmer stories, and sustainability narratives, which goes right back to his impact work with SELCO and USAID.
The deep human element. You use the long-form documentary to build deep brand loyalty.
Exactly. Then there are testimonial videos, customer and stakeholder voices, explainer content, product education, and organic farming practices.
And that's the Gramothan Foundation. Instructional design skills applied to agriculture.
Teaching the consumer.
Right, teaching the consumer why organic milk costs more by explaining the complex farming process visually.
Yes. Then product videos for launch campaigns. Event coverage, utilizing both photography and videography, and crucially, short videos, social media campaigns specifically tailored for the different pacing of Instagram Reels versus YouTube Shorts.
There's a whole different beast.
And I want to dig into that. How do you tailor a story about organic farming for a 60-second reel versus a 10-minute documentary?
It's all about pacing in the hook. In a 10-minute documentary, you can start slow. You can show the sunrise over the farm. You can let the farmer speak in long sentences.
You can breathe.
Right. In a YouTube short or an Instagram reel, you have exactly 3 seconds before the viewer swipes away.
Sometimes less.
Yeah. Pradeep knows that you have to start with the visual punchline. You start with a massive pour of milk or a startling statistic about soil degradation with bold, perfectly designed typography right in the center of the screen using his Quark Express brain, and then you backfill the context.
What Pradeep did at Akshayakalpa Organic is a masterclass in brand building for any listener who is trying to scale their own business's content. He transformed a brand's video content strategy from absolute zero into a robust, team-driven operation, producing consistent, high-quality output across every available channel.
It's incredible scale.
He didn't let the algorithm dictate the content. He used his impact storytelling to feed the algorithm what it wants, watch time and engagement, by providing actual, meaningful value to the consumer. Explaining organic farming practices isn't just selling milk, it's a brand narrative built on radical transparency.
And to execute that level of complexity across that many formats, with a team of 6, you need a serious, ever-evolving technical toolkit. Which brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the technical evolution.
The hardware and the software stack. And it is incredibly dense. Let's just quickly run through the technical fluency listed here because it validates everything we've talked about.
Go for it.
For video production, Adobe Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro. For photography and design, returning to his print roots, Photoshop, Lightroom, Illustrator, and InDesign. For production skills, cinematography, motion graphics, script writing, storyboarding, and drone operation.
I always view drone operation as the natural evolution of the art director looking for the ultimate, absolute wide shot.
It really is. It's layout design from 400 feet in the air. But here's the piece of the toolkit that absolutely fascinates me. The most recent addition to his education and training. Underneath the 2005 graphic designer certification and the 2003 computer science degree, we have AI filmmaking certification, and alongside it, a focus on loop short stories.
This is where the future is.
But I have to ask why. This feels to me like a master carpenter, someone who has spent 20 years perfecting hand-carved, intricate wooden joints with hand tools, suddenly sitting down to learn how to program an industrial 3D printer.
That's a fair comparison.
After mastering the camera, the edit bay, the drone, the typography, why step into the completely synthetic world of artificial intelligence?
It is the most important question for any creative professional working today. Why evolve? Why not just rest on your immense mastery of the traditional tools?
Because it's comfortable.
Right. But because the terrain, the human need for story remains the same, but the tools are changing faster than ever before in human history. Let's look at his entire trajectory. He started with a computer science degree. He fundamentally understands computational logic and code.
Right.
He moved through print layout, to digital photography, to nonlinear video editing, and now to AI. Pradeep's career proves a fundamental truth. The tools always change. Quark Express gives way to InDesign. Physical film gives way to digital CMOS sensors. Manual cutting gives way to Premiere Pro.
And now manual rendering gives way to AI generation.
Exactly. AI is just the next camera lens. It's a highly advanced, generative piece of software. Let's look at loop short stories.
Yeah, what is that exactly?
This is an emerging format creating infinitely looping, highly engaging micro-narratives for digital consumption. AI tools allow a creator to iterate on these visual loops at light speed, testing what color palettes or motions hold human attention the best.
So it's about iteration.
Yes. But here is the critical insight. What AI cannot do is generate actual human empathy. AI does not know what it feels like to be a farmer in Karnataka relying on a solar-powered poultry coop.
Right.
AI does not know the subtle, intuitive pacing required to make a vocational training video engaging for a struggling entrepreneur.
It can generate a hyper-realistic image of a farmer, complete with dirt on his hands and sweat on his brow, but it doesn't know the truth of the farmer. It doesn't know what the farmer wants.
Precisely. The storytelling fundamentals, the typography, the color theory, the narrative structure, and above all, the human empathy that Pradeep honed over 6 years of listening to people in the streets as an independent photojournalist, those remain entirely unchanged.
It's the core.
By acquiring an AI filmmaking certification, he isn't abandoning his craft. He is future-proofing it. He's ensuring that as the entire media industry shifts inevitably toward generative models, there is still a master storyteller at the helm, directing the machine.
He's the architect learning the new physics engine of reality.
He is. He brings strategic thinking, insight-driven creative direction, not just execution. He is fluent in both intense commercial brand building and deep social change narratives. He has multidisciplinary range, proven team leadership from his Akshayakalpa days, and a relentless commitment to production excellence.
Okay, let's bring this all together. Let's synthesize this incredible 20-year arc for you, the listener. We started by looking at the meticulous, rigid discipline of page layouts at Macmillan and Get It Yellow Pages.
Right.
We explored how that architectural mindset translated into shooting for negative space at Time Out Bengaluru. We moved through the raw, unfiltered streets of freelance investigative photojournalism, where empathy became a technical tool to capture truth.
The crucible.
We saw the translation of complex educational and sustainability concepts into compelling impact documentary films for Wadhwani, SELCO, and USAID. And we saw the ultimate scaling of all these skills into a massive 400-plus video ecosystem for Akshayakalpa Organic, utilizing SEO as the tracks for the bullet train, culminating in the adoption of AI filmmaking.
It's an incredible journey.
So, what does this all mean for you? Why did we take you on this incredibly detailed deep dive? Because whether you are building a corporate brand from the ground up, whether you are advocating for a vital social cause, or whether you are just trying to navigate your own professional evolution in an era of rapid technological disruption, you need what Pradeep KS represents.
Yeah, you really do.
You need that rare combination of commercial plus impact expertise. You need to understand that the algorithm, the budget framework, the software stack, the AI prompt is just the vehicle. The payload is always the human story.
And, as we close this out, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to ponder over your coffee today.
Oh, I like this. Lay it on us.
We just discussed how a veteran visual storyteller is actively adapting to AI filmmaking. We are rapidly entering an era where artificial intelligence will be able to generate flawless, hyper-realistic images and videos instantly at near zero cost.
It's happening right now.
It is. When production itself is no longer a barrier, when anyone can type a sentence and generate a cinematic masterpiece, the sheer volume of digital content will be overwhelmingly deafening.
The noise will be incredible.
In that future, the true value of visual media will not be in the technical production. It will be in the curation of human empathy and actual lived experiences. It will be exactly the skills Pradeep honed over 6 years of listening to and documenting real people in unpredictable environments.
Because the AI can't do that part.
Exactly. This raises the question, will the future of AI storytelling, with all its flawless artificiality, actually force us to become better, more authentic human journalists just to cut through the synthetic noise? Will the ultimate digital tool demand a return to ultimate human reality?
That is a phenomenal question, and one we are all going to have to answer very soon. As you go about your day-to-day, I encourage you to look at the visual media around you, the ads on the subway, the documentaries on streaming, the short looping reels in your feed a little more closely.
Pay attention to it.
Think about the architecture behind them. Look for the negative space. Look for the empathy. Remember that the glowing screen in your hand or the AI algorithm generating the feed is just the newest map. The human story is the mountain we are all still trying to climb. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep navigating, keep seeking out the authentic stories, and we will catch you on the next one.